This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me.
We thought we would have a broad discussion of some of the challenges that we see that we're facing with the building inspection department, and I got deemed or stuck with being chairman this year, so I thought I'd go first and describe from my perspective, and we can add others as we discuss it. Though there are letters here with what we thought misinformation, and we thought it would be good to have an open discussion. And there's nothing we can't discuss here. But we won't and can't go into personnel matters. Mr. Ozzie.
I feel it was good then, and still is good now, that a letter was written, that questions were asked, that points were made, requests for further information expressed, and I thank you for explaining all that you have done, Craig and Priscilla. It's too bad that a lot of that information wasn't forthcoming or shared. What we were looking for, as we said in a letter, looking to know what your plans are, what your goals are, what your vision is for the department, whether it's structured now or into the future, that involves planning and zoning and building inspection. If a lot of that had been shared and heard before, perhaps the letter would not have been written, or maybe a different letter would have been written. So I'm glad we're hearing what we're hearing now. But it still causes me some unease that people are working without the benefit of job descriptions, for whatever benefit that would accrue to them. That if a person, he or she, in trying to do his or her job, were feeling, even if only feeling, that he or she was being harassed, where would he or she go under the present circumstances? Is there even an ad hoc process? You say there was a process. Does each of your employees know of that process?
Yes.
And do they know where to go? And for example, where would they go?
It says, if an individual believes they have been subject to or has knowledge of discrimination or discriminatory harassment violation of this policy, they must report the incident immediately to the department head, town administrator, or board of selectmen. So an employee...
Is that their choice? Or?
Yes, at their choice. It says or. They can go to any one of the three. We have had people go beyond the department head. Mm-hmm. We've had people go directly to the board of selectmen. Mm-hmm. We have dealt with similar situations, and I've seen what we've done. These are all in non-public session, but I think any employee of this town would be dealt with fairly. And we ask questions and probe a little bit. Sometimes these are personal issues and there are limits to how much you can get into. Not in this case. That's not the case, but there have in the past. And the process works. The process has to work. If someone is harassed in accordance with this and it's not dealt with to their satisfaction, the town of Rye has liability. But if someone's, the highway department doesn't like Dennis McCarthy, if they're going to go over the hungry horse and tell everybody in town that they're being harassed, no one can help them. Same thing if you're an employee of a school district or any employer. You have to go through channels, and in this town, the channels aren't closed doors. Never have been.
Is there anything more you can say about a building inspector? In preparing a budget for the upcoming year, have you not discussed hiring a building inspector because you now have a code enforcement officer where you want a building inspector that would...
We have not gotten to that point yet. We have, Peter Rowell is the building inspector. Kim Reed is picking up a little bit on what she's doing with respect to planning and interface with the Board of Adjustment and Planning Board. As I said earlier, we think that's a topic for another day.
With regard to the building inspector, I recall being here in this room at the other end at that time. One evening when you were talking about the budgeting the costs and the various positions for the upcoming year. That discussion included, just to give it context, because it's not out of the blue that I'm talking about this, but that same discussion that same evening for the same department included granting I think a change in title as well as an increase in salary to the planning administrator.
Correct.
But also included an item for a building inspector that would be in addition to the code enforcement officer.
Not that I recall. I think that at that same time, we did a position change for the assessing clerk and for the planning administrator.
Mm-hmm.
And the discussion at that time was that, and this was, I think, before Peter Rowell started, or maybe right after.
Well, my recollection is from a meeting that has been since Peter has been here. And
since
I'm not
what?
trying to cast any aspersions to Peter or his role or qualifications. I'm just talking about the
I don't recall
number
that
of positions.
discussion, do it? Either of you recall that discussion, Mike?
No, we
I
were
don't.
dealing with planning, but.
We might have mentioned that, in a discussion of building, we might have mentioned code enforcement, but I don't recall a discussion about whether or not there would be another different position there. Maybe we'll.
Among the thoughts we expressed in that letter, we asked for the job descriptions. Is that something that is or will be available to us?
Absolutely, it's
For each
public
of these?
information once it's available.
Is any of it available now for
who?
existing positions? For all of the positions that
We have job descriptions for various employees. Some of them have been updated in recent years. Almost everybody I think we've hired, we have reviewed and updated the position description. If there are likely some that we haven't hired for a long time that may be outdated. I don't know whether we have every employee. We may or may not have every employee in that. Victor, is it your sense that we propose to add another employee and we haven't acted on that? What's your, what are you backtracking to find? Maybe that's
I'm
not a fair
testing my own
question.
recollection. No,
Okay.
if what you say is entirely true, and I'm not saying it's not, then there's something wrong with my recollection.
Okay.
But I know I made notes at that meeting.
Okay.
So I'll track down my notes.
I mean, if you find
And I'll
that,
find a specific meeting,
Yeah.
probably a specific time of the evening, that a certain number was expressed as what the cost was gonna be for that additional building inspector. And then I'll ask
okay.
to see or to hear the tapes. I'll hear it
And
here or wherever is convenient.
if we did say that as part of a discussion, I can tell you that we're now at the point where we understand that it's premature. We know,
Well, I
we know
would
more
hope-
about the situation now than we
Well,
did.
that's probably a good place to be, because if it wasn't premature then, it's certainly good reason to be premature now. Thank you.
Okay. Can we move to the next item, which is new business?
It's our land, and we need each other for the planet to survive. Yes, we can learn to live as brothers. We can keep the dream alive.